It is great to be with you on this Thursday afternoon as we roll into Easter weekend in the Element Wealth studio. Element Wealth, myelementwealth.com, 601-957-6006 is their number. I am excited to visit with our first guest of the day. You know Robert St. John, an icon here in the state of Mississippi, an accomplished chef, a restaurateur, an entrepreneur, a columnist at SuperTalk.fm, and currently joining us from Italy, where it appears as if it is a little windy, but an absolutely gorgeous day. Hello, Robert.
Hey, Richard. How are you, buddy?
It is great to visit with you. I will tell you this. I know you've been doing these Italian tours for a while. My mother told me not too long ago that in her retirement, one of the things that is on her bucket list is to be a part of one of those tours that you conduct and people enjoy so much.
Well, we'd love to have her. We had some Oxford people. I got over here March the 4th, I think it was. I had a group in Spain for 10 nights, and we covered a good bit of Spain. And then my first group here in Tuscany just left this morning. I've got Easter week off, which is rare. Usually the kids and their significant other come over during this week, but both of them bailed on me. So I'm gonna take this week to finish the book, and then we've got 2 more groups coming, and then I head to England, Scotland with the final group before I come home.
Isn't the food a little bit better in Spain and Italy than it is in Scotland and England?
Substantially better, but it's the entire experience, and the food's actually better in Italy than it is Spain. Spain's good, and the food there is good. I mean, it's really hard to beat Italy. And if you made me choose between Italy and France, and I'm a guy with the New Orleans restaurant concept, so there's a lot of French influence there. I would still choose Italy.
Yeah, certainly spectacular, and a great backdrop if you are watching with us on SuperTalk TV. Congratulations, by the way. I know that you have dropped a bunch of pounds, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to do when you're traveling all over the world and you live in the food industry. So kudos on the healthy living.
Well, thank you very much. I've lost about 60. I don't know if that beats Haydad or not. I don't think it does. He started at a different place than I did. Yeah, but I'm okay with that. He's a good friend, and I support him. And yeah, I certainly feel better. I actually lose as much eating as we do over here, and we do a lot of eating with these groups. I end up losing weight. I think I lost 2 or 3 pounds in Spain because we walk. We walk about 5 miles a day, and then it's a Mediterranean diet, and so the food's just healthier. Nobody's driving through a drive-through window over here and eating in their car. They think that's a strange concept.
Yeah, and maybe they're better for it. All right, we got Easter weekend coming up, and that means families are getting together. That means friends are getting together, and in almost every case, that means that there is a meal. And it is, for the most part, one of those times where people slow down a little bit, spend a little more time around the table before the kids take off for an Easter egg hunt. So we know about traditional Easter meal, right? You've got the vegetables, and you've got the casseroles, and maybe there's a ham or some other meat entree. Talk to me about some ideas if people want to branch out a little bit, or if they want to just put a little bit of a spin on a traditional Easter brunch or lunch.
Yeah, so I had my assistant send an Easter menu to the producer before I think y'all are going to put it up on the website. So I'll actually speak to that. It's your full Easter menu, and you can go to SuperTalk.fm and get that. I'm sure Richard will give you the link before the end of the show. But it's really what I grew up eating. My grandmother she was my greatest culinary influence, but she was also my greatest just life influence. She was an amazing woman, and she did leg of lamb, and we always had leg of lamb at Easter. And so if I were home, I would be cooking leg of lamb with a raspberry mint chutney. And you've got that recipe. There are 2 vegetables that are going with that meal. And both actually they're not my recipes. They come from Blackberry Farm. I think when John Fleer was the chef there. One is an asparagus bread pudding, and the other is a morel and truffle risotto. No, actually, it's the hearts of palm and artichoke salad that'll start. The morel and truffle risotto is my recipe. So all that's in there. There's some cheddar and chive black pepper biscuits. My grandma, I've tried to reproduce my grandmother's biscuits for like 40 years and just can't do it. They were kind of those little old lady biscuits, you know, the little sweet little old lady ones. And there was something
like
a little,
tea biscuits,
I don't
right?
know if it's, yeah, exactly. And I don't know if it was baking powder, baking soda, whatever. I tried and tried on one of my cookbooks early on to get it done. There was a place called I'm drawing a blank on the name in Natchez that had them. I was there speaking in an engagement one time, and they took me to lunch afterwards. And man, they served these biscuits, and they were exactly like my grandmother's. It took me back. She'd been gone for a while, and I sat there with my host, and I just made a pig of myself. I probably ate a dozen of those biscuits. I mean, I threw all the manners I was taught growing up out the window and just kept eating those. I said, this may be the last time. But and then the dessert, the Easter dessert, you know, you want something light, is caramel cake. And that's a tricky proposition a lot of times because if you don't do that frosting right, it gets grainy, and you gotta get it smooth, just low and slow.
All right, so this is like asking you who your favorite kid is. So my apologies for that. You said you're working on a book. Most recent cookbook out, Mississippi Mornings. I will admit to you that I do not yet have that one, but that is soon to be added because I have turned into breakfast dad, and I love doing that. Love cooking breakfast for the kids every morning before school, and then trying to do a little bit bigger stuff on the weekends. But my favorite cookbook that you've ever done is the New South Grilling. That came out about the time, mid-2000s. Jane and I had just gotten married. We tried a ton of recipes in that. It's still a go-to for us. You know, whether it's the black bean and corn salsa that goes with the fish or the poultry seasoning that can be used on everything for there. That is my favorite. I am curious, though, of all the cookbooks that you've done, of all the writing that you've done, which book is your favorite?
You know, it is kind of like choosing a kid. The very first book was in collaboration with Wyatt Waters, and that has a special place because I never planned on doing a cookbook, and that thing just took off like crazy and sold out in 3 weeks, and the second printing sold out in 3 months. The book you're talking about, New South Grilling, the people that cook out of that book always have people come up to me at book signings or events or speeches, and that's the one I hear. The one that people are really cooking out of a lot, in addition to Mississippi Mornings, that last book I did, I think that was number 13. But you know, there's the no stick grilling marinades in that grilling book because I told you I had a 3-book deal with a publisher out of New York, and one of the books was one I'd already written and published myself, and they just republished it. So I only needed to write 2 books for them, and they had an idea on what the books ought to be, and I really wanted to do a grilling book, and I really wanted to do a seafood grilling book because you know I'm in Hattiesburg, I'm an hour north of the Gulf. We do a lot of seafood, but they said nobody really grills seafood. And I said, well, you need to come down to Mississippi. We grill seafood a lot. And the thing about, especially fish, is people are a little scared to grill fish because it sticks to the grill. And so I developed those no-stick grilling marinades, and it's got the viscosity of like kind of a Creole mustard. It's not a condiment you can serve on its own, but you brush it on the protein of the vegetable or whatever you're using. And I mean, you have to chase it around the grill. I mean, it won't stick at all. I love those things. But so I'm glad to hear you say that, Richard. It's a good book. I need to reissue that book. It's out of print right now.
There you go. We need to get that one going as well. I want to go back to the Easter menu. I feel like you said we're going light with dessert, but when I hear bread pudding, I feel like that's dessert. But that gets thrown in.
Yeah.
I think you even qualified that as a vegetable because of the other stuff that's in it. Maybe not, but that's a pretty fantastic piece of that Easter meal.
Yeah, no, it's a savory component to be served alongside the entree. It's a bread pudding, so it's savory. And the dessert is the caramel cake. And that asparagus bread pudding comes from Blackberry Farm. I had it there once, and it was amazing. It's very light. It's a perfect spring accompaniment and vegetable to pair with that lamb. So it's good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Robert, it's so good to catch up with you. Thanks for making some time for us. Let's see, what is it, like almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon there? Is that about right?
It's 4:45 p.m. The sun's about to set over here in about an hour.
A little bit later. Safe travels to you. Look forward to catching up again soon. Happy Easter to you and your family, and thanks for your time.
Richard, thanks for everything you do for Mississippi, man. You're an asset to our state.
It's very kind of you to say that. Robert St. John, restaurateur, chef, author, columnist at SuperTalk.fm, and we will be sure to get that recipe to you before we finish up today. Thanks, Robert. We'll talk to you soon. More middays. Richard Cross in for Gerard Gibbert when we come back with you in the Element Wealth Studio.